We have all probably heard at least once that you can't go to the past because it has already happened. Yet this saying, which has served as a barrier to prospective time travel, is not entirely true when you apply time to general relativity. To understand where this idea falls apart, you must first learn a few things about space and time. The first concept is the relationship between space and time. A great explanation I saw of this is a scenario in which you're walking in the north and east directions. If you travel directly east, you're not traveling north at all. If you are traveling directly north, you are not traveling east at all. Thus, the more north you travel, the less east you travel, and the more east you travel, the less north you travel. The relationship between space and time is analogous to that between north and east. The faster through space you go, the slower time passes. The slower through space you go, the faster time passes. So if you're not moving at all, time is passing at its fastest rate possible. And if you're moving at the speed of light, the space speed limit, time does not pass at all. Now that we've established that when speed through space increases, time slows, and when speed through space decreases, time speeds up, we can tie in the final factor. That is the relationship between gravity, space, and time. Space and time are connected via a four-dimensional fabric called space-time, where the x, y, and z position coordinates make up the first three dimensions, and time makes up the fourth dimension. Typically, we simplify this into a two-dimensional plane of space coordinates and time coordinates. This creates space-time. Gravity warps or bends space-time, creating an acceleration curve shaped like a funnel. To visualize this, you can pretend that space-time is a sheet. If you were to place a bowling ball in the middle of the sheet's fabric would bend towards the bowling ball. This warping caused by gravity slows time passage, just like fast travel through space also slows time passage. With this, we can understand an actual example of time travel. Sergei Krikalev holds the record for the longest time spent in space, over 800 days. He spent much of that time orbiting around Earth in the ISS, where his velocity averaged 27 kilometers a second. On Earth, if you live at the equator, your velocity is a measly 0.4 kilometers a second. Then again, that's still faster than the speed of sound. Because Sergei traveled way faster than you, time passed slower for him than you. Despite you experiencing a greater gravitational force than Sergei, which would slow down time for you, this difference is not enough to offset the change in time passage caused by Sergei's much higher velocity. This difference ends up being 0.02 seconds. Because time moved slower for Sergei, Sergei would see you 0.02 seconds in the future. Because time moved faster for you, you would see Sergei 0.02 seconds in the past. So according to Sergei, you are in the future, but according to you, Sergei is in the past. Thus, you can travel to the past. And that common saying, you cannot travel to the past because it has already happened, is false. You may continue the argument by saying, well, sure, this guy traveled into the past, but he could never go back to a place like ancient Rome just by traveling really fast, because he is still moving forward in time, and there is no way that he can reverse time. To explore this, we must introduce time travel on a macro scale. This involves the wormhole. A wormhole is essentially a highway within space-time. Wormholes connect certain places and times to one another across the universe and have entrances that affect how time passes. If one entrance is traveling much faster relative to another entrance, traveling from the slower end to the faster end results in you going to the past, since at the faster end, time is moving slower. Conversely, traveling from the faster end to the slower end results in you going to the future, because at the slower end, time is moving faster. If humans gained the technology, we could create and manipulate wormholes to alter time passage. For instance, we could create a wormhole where one entrance exists in a black hole where immense gravitational pull would stop time. We could also freeze time by accelerating one end of the wormhole to light speed. So if we want to visit, say, ancient Rome, we would have to freeze a wormhole entrance by accelerating it to light speed or by sticking it into a black hole in a year like 100 CE and allow the other end to move forward with the present. Unfortunately, the biggest obstacle to doing this is getting to the year 100 CE. This task would be impossible if we tried to use our own wormholes. Since time can only freeze or move forward, the furthest date an artificial wormhole could be set back to is the date that it was made, and wormholes have yet to be invented. The only way we could get to 100 CE is if we found a natural wormhole that has an entrance that exists during or before 100 CE. This would be incredibly rare, as wormholes are unstable structures that don't last long. Thus, the idea that there are limits to how far someone can time travel to the past is completely valid. This is because that factor is entirely dependent upon whether we can find a wormhole that exists in the past and the present or future. So yes, you can time travel to the past, but how far you can time travel to the past remains a mystery. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for future content. As a brand new channel, your individual support means a lot.